Next up, we have Andis Arietta, a PhD student from Yale University, and his talk is titled Safe Passage, a Performance Assessment of Large Mammal Highway Crossing Structures.
Thank you all. This project is from my master's degree at the University of Montana, and it looks at, as it says, highway crossing structures, the performance for large mammals. And it was conducted in partnership with the Salish and Kootenai tribes in western Montana. This whole corridor is on the Flathead Indian Reservation, and it is on the Yellowstone to Yukon corridor. There are, as you can see, the yellow dots are 40 of these highway crossing structures on this 90-kilometer section. That's one of the highest concentrations in the world. We have a couple of different types. There are the wildlife overpasses. That's a vegetated wildlife overpass for animals to cross over the highway safely. And then there's also these underpasses, which is what I studied. The nice thing about having this density of crossing structures, pretty much anywhere in the world, is that I have the ability to use replicates. So I took 15 of these structures that were almost exactly the same and assessed their performance. So the way we would typically do this is if you had two crossing structures, A and B, you would just record the number of species that cross through there. In this case, you would say B is roughly 2 times better than structure A. But if you look at the relative abundance in this context, then the conclusion flips. In this case, you might say that if there's 50% of those from the surrounding crossing through, that it's actually 5 times better than a 10% performance at structure B. So I used remote camera traps. I put 10 remote camera traps in the surrounding habitat, 2 at the structures, so that I could calculate performance ratios and performance differentials. Differentials are ratios that are greater than 1, means that there's a funneling effect. These are high performance structures. They're actually promoting connectivity and animals moving through the structures. In total, I analyzed 200,000 images, roughly. That's 3,000 individual observations. Most of those were ungulates, primarily mule deer and white-tailed deer. And then there were about 10% that were small mammals and carnivores, and that was predominantly black bear and coyotes. So as you'll see here, these are some figures from the paper from this study, and on the right, these are on, my right, your left. This is the overall structure performance, and this final column you'll see is the mean. So the mean, the performance, is above 0, which is good. Although it's pretty variable, and if you look, when I break it down between carnivores and deer, carnivores we're not really so sure about. Deer, we're pretty certain that these structures work. So the good news is that these structures do seem to promote connectivity for large mammals. In fact, we see about 146% more movements through the structures than in the surrounding environment. But this really isn't enough. We need, one, to stop building so many roads, but where we can't build roads, we need to build more structures. And we estimate that we'd need somewhere around 40% of the road corridor to have these structures in order to promote 100% connectivity. That's probably an unrealistic goal, especially considering that each one of these structures costs around $100,000 or more. But hopefully we can move towards that. And given this, knowing that these structures are not a panacea, that we will hopefully be able to use this as impetus to stop building roads in sensitive habitat, like the Yellowstone to Yukon corridor. So if you'd like to see more about this study, it was published in Frontiers in Ecology and Evolution, or you can either email me or look up my analysis on my website. Thank you all.